Life is gradually returning to normalcy in Boya after yesterday's presumed separatists fighters attack, which left 5 deaths and material damages. We equally bring the reactions of human rights activists who have of the cried or poured out their frustrations, all the reactions in these editions of Newscasts. And former workers of a recruitment agency capital, ROH, have gone on strike to demand the payments of their indemnities and other dues. And the Yaounde 6 council in the Fundi division of the Central region has been ravaged by flames. The cause of the heavy fire, which broke out during the early hours of Friday, is yet to be established. Those are major stories. Titles right ahead. Good evening once more. Life is gradually returning to normalcy in Boya in the southwest region of Cameroon after yesterday's presumed separatist fighters attack, which left 5 deaths and material damages. This Friday, few private vehicles are plying the streets of Boya like fear, while the fear of the known still remains, as Boya denizens have expressed the panic and fear of the known. More in the following story with our reporter, Ines Ondwambala.
This is the chief town of the southwest region after the bloody Thursday. Boya is struggling to pick up. We are in class quarters. Life is gradually returning to normalcy. Shops and other businesses are booming. Class quarters, Bokwango and Boya Town, which are the most secured neighborhoods in Boya, harbor a good number of business activities with a large population. While moving down to mile 17, we make a stop at Bonduma, Checkpoint, Ndungu, Mayo Streets, Malingo, Moliko, mile 18, Namunya. It is clear that panic is still looming, as very few private cars are circulating. Some curious inhabitants have braved the odds, left their houses to see for themselves how streets looks like. Streets and school premises in the above-mentioned areas are all empty. Defense and security forces are being deployed in all nooks and crannies of Boya to secure persons and their goods and to fight against the high rate of separatist fighters' attack. Southwest inhabitants have condemned atrocity and they hope that the sad pitch will soon be over.
And just to know that the town of Kumba, Munya, as well as Aboya have witnessed a traumatizing situation that has led to loss of life and material damages. Due to these, human rights activists have poured out their frustrations. We're talking to our reporter, William Fru.
The 2-week lockdown imposed by separatist fighters in the English-speaking regions of the country has paralyzed economic activities, leaving thousands stranded.
Economic, social activities have been grounded for more than a week. We have been indoors. There is no movement of persons and cars. Everywhere is being grounded. Business people are not going to their business places. The lawyers, as I am, are not going to a job site. The commercial motorbikes, taxi drivers, commercial activities have all been grounded.
The tensions persisting between the separatist fighters and the forces of law and order in a bid to ensure an effective back to school has left more than 5 persons dead since the start of the imposed 2-week lockdown, which began on Monday, 4th of September.
Of what use will be all what is happening if tomorrow everyone is dead, everyone is gone, and it's only you who is alive? You want to rule yourself and your family? Families, children are going to school in other countries. The children of the non-state armed groups are going to school. The leaders, their children are going to school. Why wouldn't they allow our children to go to school? What did our children do? 7 years? It is too much of sacrifice.
Individuals in this part of the country have been witnessing unprecedented atrocities since the start of the Anglophone crisis in 2016, and the human rights defenders say it is high time it stopped.
So we call on them all to rethink and have a shift in position. We cannot bank our strength of firepower on innocent civilians. We cannot.
While waiting for both parties to find and implement a lasting solution to the crisis, Cameroonians in that part of the country now say they rely on divine intervention.
And the Yaounde 6 Council in the Funde Division Central region of Cameroon has been ravished by wild flames. The cause of the heavy fire, which broke out during the early hours of Friday, is yet to be established, but the damages are enormous. More with our reporter, Hysencha.
It is a Black Friday here at the Yaounde 6 Council as the personnel and the entire inhabitants of the Acacia neighborhood woke up to heavy flames ravaging the council structure. The fire, which started at about 5 a.m., has damaged almost all the different parts of the building and administrative offices. And rushing to the scene, the mayor, Yoki Onana, and his collaborators couldn't believe their eyes.
I was informed by 5. We tried with the firefighters, but the building has been greatly consumed. We shall focus on the consequences. It is really a handicap for us.
Sad enough, the unfortunate incident occurred barely 2 hours after the council from the premises as they gathered to celebrate the life of late Mayor Jean-Claude in At
3 we left here. Even now I'm talking, they see sleep in my eyes. So I was on the bed, I heard a phone call that the council is burning. I said, no, my council is not burning. We are just from there at 2 to 3. A friend said, no, you saw it over the WhatsApp. I said, okay, let me just stand up and come and see what is happening. That's why I came and saw that all the buildings already down, everything has been burned down.
And for the elements of the firefighting units getting to the scene, it wasn't an easy operation given the nature of the rising flames.
Our units came on the spot. They discovered that the hydrants around the neighborhood of the council didn't have water. So we had to go very far, right up to Mokolo, to look for water and come back. So you see this distance made the operation a little bit difficult. But at least we managed to extinguish the fire at this moment. An inquiry will be put in place in order to determine what caused the fire. What is important to know at this moment is that the fire has been extinguished and a good number of offices got burnt.
And equally rushing to the site this morning was the governor of the Central Region, Nasiri Paul Biel, the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obam, and Celestine Kecha Cotes of Housing and Urban Development.
With placards in hand, September 8, 2023, these workers of the recruitment agency Capital RH are demanding the payment of indemnities and other dues owed them by their employer.
We are reclaiming our rights. There are certain irregularities that has not been regularized, like the CMPS contribution. There are certain years that has not been up to date. And we have also our COVID-19 risk that we are reclaiming also.
The example, that he has never perceived his housing allowance. Moreover, it's abusively sacked, just like many other workers the agency had placed in some companies.
Le travail en mars 2020.
As the recruitment agency changed identity thrice within 10 years, the labor inspection they had submitted complaints to finds it difficult to recognize the agency they have cited.
And they are claiming that they don't know capital human, they know bed human resource. They are claiming that they don't know us. Meanwhile, we have worked under them 10 years and above.
Nous sommes les ex-employés de Capital
We are former workers of Capital RH, Capital Services and Capital Human Resource, three identities for same company. Today, they claim they don't know us because after giving the company three different names, they only want to recognize the last Capital Resource which was named 4 months ago.
They have therefore called on government to come to their aid.
Authorities to help us to resolve our problem, to see that our rights are being they should of the loss of the workers.
All attempts to get to management of the recruitment agency proved futile.
And that was a report by Gladys Ambodibang on some former workers of a recruitment agency in Cameroon's economic city, Douala. And the gendarmerie have succeeded to arrest a gang of 5 criminals, supposedly to be a car specialized in stealing vehicles in the nation's political capital, Yaounde, acts that keeps on boosting the rates of criminality in the country. More with our reporter, Aisencha.
Happy, lucky day for this lady, as her car is among the level that the 1st Gendarmerie region in Yaounde has been able to retrieve from a supposed gang of car thieves. A victim that fell into their hands last July in Yaounde.
On avait volé ça le 7 juin à l'école Jonou. Je suis parti laisser l'enfant. C'est là-bas qu'on a porté. Je ressors dehors avec les clés que j'ai là.
Some have been victims more than once. These others lucky to also identify their cars. They here narrate their strange and frightful ordeal and modus operandi of the supposed bandits.
Ils ont changé la peinture, ils ont changé même les sièges, ils ont changé même les pneus.
Le numéro de châssis a été changé. La couleur, ils ont mis la chaux. Et ils ont changé aussi la plaque d'immatriculation.
In their small ways, they were able to spot their cars.
C'est qu'il y a toujours des marques qu'on met toujours, qu'on reconnaît toujours son véhicule.
Ma voiture est vraiment dans un état très piéteux. Mais j'ai reconnu mon véhicule. J'ai reconnu toutes les marques qu'il y avait sur mon véhicule.
Informed about these supposed criminal acts rife in Yaounde like Douala, the 1st National Gendarmerie region in Yaounde began investigation, and after almost a month, they succeeded to catch 5 individuals in their possession these cars, operation weapons, and other material on display here. While the victims will have to furnish further documents and more in order to be in possession of their cars, the supposed thieves will have to face the law accordingly.
And the families of 2 workers who lost their lives at the Nashigal hydroelectric dam on August 30 have blamed the sad incident on the negligence of the authorities of the site. In a press conference yesterday in Yaounde, they decried the silence of the authorities while their children are yet to be found. More with our reporter, Aisencha.
The pain of losing a vibrant son to the wicked hands of death under doubtful circumstances. These parents are yet to believe what happened to their children on August 30th at the Nachtigal hydroelectric dam. Alerted of the unfortunate incident, they rushed down to the scene with heavy hearts to rescue their sons or even lay hands on their mortal remains to no avail. 9 days after, there is no concrete information on their whereabouts.
I was there. I couldn't even get the position of my son's room. All I was told is that the rooms of the 2 victims were opposite each other. The 2 were working together.
The regrettable incident they blame on negligence.
Lack of security measures. For a big enterprise as such, it's regrettable. The boat got bad over 300 meters from where they got drowned, and people stood and saw them get down gradually. They were even shouting and crying for help, but nothing was done.
Et qu'il dise de sa propre bouche qu'il a touché à mon fils de 20 ans.
When I listened to the colonel say that he even touched my 20-year-old son, removed his shoes, carried him, even called for intervention to no avail. 9 days after, my children and I are still waiting and hoping to get good news from Nachtigal.
Ils ont l'espoir que les bonnes nouvelles vont venir de Nachtigal.
And before the press, this September 7 in Yaounde, the bereaved families urged the government to take immediate actions and find their children dead or alive.
And roads leading to more schools in Cameroon's economic city Douala are becoming more and more impracticable from PK 12 to PK 14 in the Douala 3 subdivision. School children are going through hard times. Let's get more in a following story with our reporter, Saleh Sharifa.
In March 2023, the city of Boya recorded a natural disaster.
This road leads to a primary school in PK 12 in the Douala 3 subdivision. Here, water ponds and mud have flooded the roads. It is the same condition at PK 14, still in the Douala 4 district. The population laments on the bad state of road which their children use every day to get to school.
Every time I pour gravel, I try to improve the situation at my own level, but alone I can't do much. We are obliged to allow 15-minute delay every day to allow children get on time.
School authorities are hoping for the roads to be rehabilitated to facilitate access to the campuses.
At our level, we will only put 2 or 3 teachers between 7 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. to help the children cross. But with the approval of our boss, we will see if the security agent can do this till 8:30 a.m.
Conscious of the difficulties, some proprietors of some primary and secondary schools have taken measures to ease movement.
I'm making an appeal to the city mayor to see what we can do so that our children arrive on time at school.
While waiting for the reactions of the local authorities, inhabitants and students will have to go through the ordeal as the rains are still very intense.
And few days into the new school year, management of most schools in Cameroon's economic city Douala said they are yet to register cases of indiscipline, which is rampant and most noticeable in most schools across Cameroon. Our reporter Gladys Ambodibang has been talking to some principals and discipline masters. Her story.
These knives and other dangerous objects were seized from some students in a lay private school in Douala during the last academic year. A severe case of indiscipline noticeable mostly in secondary schools. Assaults and insults on teachers, vandalism, absenteeism, dodging, late coming, fighting and stealing are acts of disobedience and misbehavior usually exerted by students.
Can find this kind of knives, and you see that you cannot have this kind of knives and be a student which is not violent. And sometimes they even don't accept what the teacher says. And you have a problem between the teacher and the student.
Mostly it's disrespect, especially within themselves, and also late coming. Then we also have wrong dressing. But now that this academy has started, we are still giving them some time.
The school administration is usually very rigid with such cases, with severe sanctions meted on the recalcitrant students.
From the beginning of this week, we don't have any case of indiscipline for the time being. But that doesn't mean that all my students here are angels. Not at all.
We have none, but yesterday we had a little bit of setback where one of our students, they had a fight. The senior student had a fight with a junior student, but the matter was resolved.
This first week of the new school year seems to be a period of observation for the students. Few or virtually no cases of indiscipline noted in some schools we visited Friday, September 8, 2023.
In the case where maybe it's fighting, maybe it's theft, it's brought to my office, and in that case, what we do here is that we call the parents of the children involved. We try to talk to them and see how we can settle the matter amicably in school.
To curb indiscipline, therefore, the school administration ensures moral lessons are dished out to the students from day one of the new academic year.
On Monday, at the first time, they tell them how to have a good behavior. They tell them to be there at time, to respect students, teachers.
Schools, however, have the legal right to impose reasonable sanctions if a student misbehaves.
Thank you so much, Gladys Ambodibang, and that brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching, but we'll take another rendezvous for news in the English language on Monday. Good night.